Today on the Bullets Pod, we are interviewing one of my favorite college baseball creators. His name is Bryson Webb. He's the shortstop at Central Michigan. In this episode, we talk about how he plays college baseball, creates content, and what it's like having a camera around to his teammates and coaches. Let's jump into this episode of the Bullets Pod.
Before we jump into today's episode, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Arete Shades. Today I've got the red, white, and booms, the red, white, and blues. And I want to tell you how you can win a free pair of red, white, and booms for watching today's episode. So here's what we're going to do. If you are watching on YouTube and YouTube only, so if you're listening to the podcast, go over to YouTube and you leave a comment with the word spring, because the spring season is about to start. If you go to YouTube and leave a comment with the word spring, we're going to pick the best comment with the word spring in it, and you're going to win a pair of these guys, the red, white, and booms, absolutely free. So leave a comment with the word spring. The coolest, most unique, most original, most fun comment with the word spring is going to win a free pair, and we'll announce it next Wednesday on our episode. So do that. And let's get into today's episode with Bryson Webb. Bryson, man, thanks so much for doing this, man. We appreciate it.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Can you tell us how you first got introduced to baseball and what made you fall in love with the game?
Great question. Yeah. Like any other kid, my dad was definitely a big influence in me getting into baseball. As I progressed and got older, it became more of a passion of mine. And I would say a lot of that passion largely came from hosting college baseball players throughout the summer. So for 17 years of my life, my parents, my family, were blessed enough to house college baseball players for the Northwood League team, the Green Bay Bullfrogs formerly, and now currently the Green Bay Rockers. So having those college baseball players in my house really influenced my love for the game. And it just grew each and every year that we had new players in, and just being able to bounce ideas off of their heads and like kind of get to know them and watch them play growing up has been a huge influence of mine, and it's grown into the desire to play beyond high school, and luckily I have been blessed enough to do that up until this point.
I love that. Talk a little bit about, maybe some of those summer stories, like as a kid, like now you get these college kids coming in, they got a little different lifestyle than, a 10-year-old kid who wants to play baseball, but, share some of your favorite summer stories with some of those guys.
Yeah, I'm just what immediately comes to my mind is we had this guy named Riley Tincher who came in, and he was probably up there as one of our favorites that we've had living with us. But I just remember he always tells a story about how the first night he moved in, that morning, me and my two older brothers, he woke up to us like peeking our heads like through the door because we were so excited to like see who was living in our house that summer. So that's always like a fun memory, just because from his perspective, it was probably a little creepy. He's like, why are these three kids watching me sleep? But from our perspective, it's like, dude, like we're so excited to have you. Like we treat him like he was one of our older brothers, and like he may have been a little bit, I guess, hesitant to start. But as we got to know him, he was a great role model for us, as well as all the other players that we've had through our house. And I think when we were younger, they definitely felt a little more obligated to like talk to us and like interact with us just because we were kids and all that stuff. And as I got older, I think I was able to actually relate to them more on a personal level, just because at that point when I was 16, 17, 18, in this past couple of years, like I'm playing a similar level of baseball as them. It's like, yeah, I get the struggles or anything that you're going through. But yeah, that's definitely the first memory that comes to mind.
I love that. Well, we're going to transition. So kid, summer league, now you're 16, 17, 18, transition
Right.
a little bit to the college side.
What was your recruitment process like, and what led you to going to Central Michigan?
Great. Yeah, great. I love this question because my story is definitely a little bit different than traditional recruiting stories. So I think I realized around 16 years old that I wanted to play college baseball, just because that was the first year I ever played travel ball. And I kind of got a different taste of competition at that point. So it was definitely something that I wanted to do beyond high school because I enjoyed it. I love playing. And so I went to a few showcases with PBR and other certain camps along the way. And nothing really struck a ton of interest, just because I was a late bloomer. Like I didn't really hit puberty till like my junior year of high school. So a lot of late growth happened then. And I attribute a lot of growth there. So like my sophomore year, I was like 5'2", 115 pounds. And then into my junior and then definitely into my senior year, I go to like 5'10", 160 pounds. But again, still undersized to a lot of Division I colleges at that point. So I had 3 offers coming out of high school, 2 D2, one was Winona State and one was Upper Iowa, both in the same conference. So, and then I had one JUCO offer, which was College of Lake County down in Illinois. So that was it. I wasn't super thrilled about it because I know all kids want to play Division I baseball, and having those players in the Northwoods League living in my house, many of them being Division I baseball players, I was like, dang, that kind of sucks. But ended up committing to Winona State my senior fall in September. As I kind of let it rest, I was like, okay, this is exciting. I get to play baseball outside of high school. This is sweet. So I fully embraced it. And then spring season rolls around, nothing crazy. I had a pretty average season, and then I decided the summer that I was just going to play for a local Legion team. I was like fully set. I got my commitment. I just got to get a ton of reps of experience rolling into college ball. So decided just to have some fun playing with some local guys, and ended up the first couple weeks playing extremely well. My Legion coach, his name's Dan Lucas, great guy. He played a huge part in me getting to Winona State. So the first few weeks, I hit very well, fielded very well, and he had other coaches and players come up to him being like, how is he only going to Winona State? Which I have no hate against Winona State. I have buddies that go to Winona State, all that stuff. I just want to clarify. So yeah, he actually knew the head coach at Central Michigan at the time, Jordan Bishel, because Jordan actually was from the Green Bay area and coached and played in the Green Bay area. So he had that connection at St. Norbert College. And then when Coach Bishel left, Dan Lucas stayed and still coached Legion and all that. So hopefully that connected the dots a little bit. So he reached out, asked Coach Bishel if he needed any infielders. Lo and behold, he needed another one. And Coach Bishel and his staff, they never even heard of me. They never saw me play. They practically just took Dan's word for it because Coach Bishel trusted Dan and knew his word was good for it. So like it was like a miracle. But I ended up decommitting from Winona State and then committing to Central Michigan within like a 3-day period. Like there was zero hesitation because like that spark in my eye came back. I was like, okay, like I have an opportunity to play U.N. baseball. I don't know if it's gonna work out. But I just decided to bet on myself. Like I knew that I could work hard and kind of try to make something happen. And I'm still here, so I'm clearly doing something right. But that was it.
It's a wild story, and it's just also just shows like there's no one way to get to that endpoint, right? And so you know, you're talking like senior year, still making decisions. Like that's how it was when I was going through high school. Like we weren't committing until senior year, right? Now everybody's trying to commit freshman year, so like it's such a different process. But I love that it's an untraditional story, but it has a happy ending. Well, at least so far, right?
So far. Yeah, there's no right way, but there are definitely multiple ways, and I think I realized that, especially even being in Central Michigan, like now, like whenever you're met with any sort of adversity at this point, like there might be a right way, but there are also multiple ways to kind of work your way through it, and a lot of it has to do with communication and trust in the people around you, and that's definitely something that I've grown to appreciate in the last couple of years. So for sure.
From a competitive point, what's the biggest adjustment from moving to high school to D1 baseball?
The game definitely speeds up on you. I think my freshman fall was the most I've ever struggled playing baseball in my life. Just because the pace of the game, the way the guys move, the confidence everybody had around me. Like when you're in high school, like there are a select few that can walk around with confidence and like knowing that they're the best player in the field. Everybody in college is like that. One way or another, either they're faking it and they're really good at faking it, or they actually believe it. So that was definitely a big learning curve because I was not very confident just because of my recruiting story. Like I didn't felt like I belonged there at that point. And that was definitely a big downfall of mine. So it took a bit of a learning curve, and I guess it just took time. Like I kind of had to realize that nothing happens overnight. the fact that I was there is a blessing enough as it is. And so I took that first year of college baseball, my freshman year. I redshirted, didn't step on the field. I got to travel in the spring, which was really, really cool, really great experience for me. But it was just a development period that was very necessary, not only from a maturity standpoint, but from just like a baseball skill set standpoint. Like I was underdeveloped, even though I might have seemed a little bit advanced as a high schooler, but high school to college is a big jump. And a lot of people, unfortunately, do fall to that pressure. And that was something that I had to work around and work towards to further develop in baseball and also my mentality as well.
Where do you think that, whether it was for you, like a false sense of confidence, right? Like fake it till you make it, or like, where did you get, was it just from, getting comfortable, showing up to the field every day, putting in the work? Was it, something someone said to you? Was it just, maybe even just a teammate being like, yo, Bryce, like you got this, like and maybe you're still figuring that. I mean, we're all still figuring it out. Right.
Yeah.
But
right. Yeah. So my fall meeting with Coach Visual, it was a lot of me just kind of having self-doubt and being like, I appreciate the opportunity, but I don't know if I belong here. And I was like fully prepared, like maybe I wouldn't be there next year, because I was a walk-on and everything. So like nothing was ever guaranteed from that standpoint. So I felt like I was on thin ice as it was, but he kind of reassured me that like I may have struggled this fall, but there's no reason for me to just kind of dwell on it just because it's in the past. And so I just had to keep working and keep moving forward with it. And even like, and that wasn't like a conversation that just kind of changed everything. You know what I mean? Like I went forward, like kind of a little bit, I guess sad. And then I moved forward and I was like, okay, I had the opportunity to develop this year because I know I'm not going to play. So I took that year. And then my sophomore year, whole new coaching staff, like everything was different, new players, everything like that. So I kind of took it as like, okay, I get to like restart. Everybody's on a blank slate because we have all new coaches. Like nobody has anything above anyone else, because when I was with Coach Bishop, he had his guys. Like he had guys that had been there. He recruited his guys. I was not recruited. So it was like, I'm not saying that was like a target I had in my back, but definitely something I kept with me for a little bit too long. But since with this new coaching staff, I was like, this is a blank slate. This is the opportunity for me to show that I do belong here. I can make an impact on this team. And that was a big turning point. Like I had a great fall my sophomore year. I hit over 400 in the fall and played very well in the field, which was great. And then in the spring, found myself starting very early on in the season, found a lot of success in our early trips and early in conference. And then there was a point where, I guess not a singular point, but over time, I got too comfortable in the lineup. And so my progression decided to decline. So like I started not hitting as well, inconsistent at the plate, like just I got so comfortable in the lineup because I'd been starting for so long that I decided that my worst was good enough and I was still going to be in the lineup the next day, and that's just not true. And that was something that my coach had talked to me about in my exit meeting in the spring. The exact point, he's like, you got too comfortable, so we had to take you out. And I was like, okay, like I get it. So having those learning points have definitely been a huge help to my development so far. And I'm still learning, still growing. I think I feel great about where I'm at right now. I'm excited for the spring. And definitely, hopefully I can make an impact for the team this year. But
I love it. And obviously you're putting in the work. We've seen that all over Instagram. We're talking a lot about the content in just a second, but right as you were going through that question and answer, I put like something together. I was Googling some stuff and I showed him and I was like, dude, I'm 99.9% sure we saw you guys play UCF in the spring. But your dugout was batshit crazy. Like you guys were so hype. Like again, I mean, you're college kids, like you guys came all the way down from Michigan. Like you brought a lot of players too. Like the dugout was packed. So just talk about a little bit of just of that. Like obviously I don't remember the game or like what happened, but like, I just remember your culture and your kid, like the whole squad, you guys were just on another level as far as like being in the game and, you know, rooting for your teammate. Like it was like, do you remember that? And they had like 100 people in the dugout. Like it was insane.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like, I'm so glad you brought that up because it's nice to hear from other people. Like we hear it from coach sometimes, like energy was good this game, energy was bad this game, but like being able to hear it and that other people notice it is great, because having energy and enthusiasm is like a staple of the program. Like with our current coach and past coaches, like they emphasize like being engaged in the game, having a ton of energy, because it's contagious within the dugout, but it's also very demoralizing to the other team. Like imagine a situation where like you gave up a run or 2 runs to the other team, but then you make a double play to end the inning. And the dugout, even though you guys gave up 2 runs, like you're going crazy like that, like you just won the World Series. Like that's very demoralizing. You can kind of stop momentum for the other team and kind of turn it to your direction. Like just kind of the mental side of things, like having ton of energy is very, very a key aspect of our game at Central Michigan. It's something that we kind of struggled with our identity a little bit last year. But I think this year we definitely have a better grasp, just because last year was like a mix. So we had guys from prior coaching staff and guys from who were recruited from this current coaching staff, and like they're all meshed together. So we kind of had a difficult time like identifying like who we want to be as a culture and as a program. But I think this year we definitely have a better grasp of that. I think that it will show for sure this spring.
That's awesome, man. You remember that game?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that was fun. All right, let's keep moving on.
We're both shortstops, and we're like the leaders or quarterback to the infield. How do you lead and communicate with your team?
Yeah, I think that playing shortstop is definitely like commanding the defense. I think if you're in the middle of it all, although 90% of the game is played between 60 feet and 6 inches between pitcher, catcher, and hitter, like you still got to be very active in communicating situational things, how many outs there are, all that stuff. Like every time, every pitch, I try to, clap my hands, say something to the pitcher to kind of cheer him on, because I know that there's a lot riding on his shoulders, even though he might not feel it in the moment, just with adrenaline and everything. But like turning to the outfield, let them know how many outs there are, kind of communicating like, hey, cut 3 because there's guys on first. Like just the little things that kind of keep the game moving and kind of keep communication flowing throughout the field is really important, because it can be very easy in a long game of baseball to kind of get caught up in your own thoughts and kind of forget where you are. Just so constant communication definitely helps with that. And I think the shortstop has a big role doing stuff like that.
What's the best piece of advice you've received that still sticks with you today?
I think honestly, it was from my exit meeting in the spring with my coach. I got it tattooed on my arm just because it was so meaningful to me. It says, "Don't get comfortable." So just kind of reminder that in not only baseball but all aspects of life. And now that I've kind of entered the content space, like there might be stretches where I don't want to make videos, but then I take a peek down and it's like I'm not doing this for me, but I'm also doing it for other people now. I've kind of gotten to a point where I do have influence over other people, and I think that's really cool. I shouldn't take it for granted. And baseball wise, it's just a constant reminder to keep working hard, because opportunities can be very limited in this game. And one day, one thing can happen, and it can lead to you not either playing for a few days or something like that. So just take advantage of every opportunity and keep working for your goals, because there's so much more than you might think.
I love that. I love that constant reminder. And it's a perfect segue to really get into the content side, the personal branding side, the media that you're creating. I mean, that's obviously how,
cool.
He discovered you and he's like, dude, you got to watch this guy's videos. And so, we both watch him now, which is awesome. So, let's start talking about that.
What initially inspired you to start creating content around your baseball?
Yeah, great question. So, I started creating content, like I would say the summer of my freshman year, I believe. I was playing summer ball just for a local team back home. And the whole reason I actually got into creating content was because of NIL. The NCAA had just passed laws about NIL not too long before I started making content. So I figured that was a great way to kind of work with companies and kind of get my name out there, because as a college student, you're not reeling in a lot of dough. So making money is definitely on the end of that. But I think over time it grew into something a lot more. It's not all about money anymore, although that is kind of still a part of it. It's definitely about the influence and interactions that I can have with people. Like I've been able to talk to a ton of amazing people. I've met a ton of great figures across social media, other creators. So that's been a really great thing that has kept me motivated to keep making content, because I can go out and post an Instagram story, and I can have dozens and dozens of people reply to it. And I'm like, I don't know these people, but they think they know me. And I think that's the coolest thing in the world. So, yeah, I think that because I think I do have an influence in this point in my life, I think I'm gonna keep rolling with it. And I look up to people, too. I think, as trends with my videos, they're not all, they're similar to other creators. I think sometimes just because we are in similar spaces, like baseball it's a big game, but, you got guys like Coach Rack or Jackson Olsen, like I love watching those guys. And I've been able to connect with a couple of people like Max Freeze, who plays for the Spam Bananas as well. People like that. It's just been great. So.
I love that. Yeah, it gets, there's so much to it, right? Like there's obviously, like for your side, it was like, let's just start it. Maybe I can grow a little following, get a little NIL money, but you don't realize the connections, the people, like,
Right.
Video gets, I am fortunate. I go and speak all over the country for, what I do during the day. And like, I'll fly from Florida to California to speak to a room of 100 people, but he'll put up a video or you'll put up a video and you're like, 142,000 people watch it. And you're like, oh, that video didn't do so good. And I'm like, I just flew around the country to speak to 100 people, And so it's really cool. I want to get into, a little bit of kind of like breaking it down. Like, how do you actually do this? Because obviously you got school, you got practice, you got, maybe a little bit of a social life. And now you got to, bring the camera out, you got to film it, you got to edit it. Like, how do you actually think about the actual creation process? Like, how are you planning it? Like, where does that come from? Like, from those beginning stages, like, all right, cool, today's a hitting day, so I want to make sure I get this done. Or is it more serendipitous? Like, go through a little bit of your process.
Yeah, so it definitely throws a little extra crutch into my day. Not that it's like a thing that I feel like I have to do, but I definitely feel obligated to do it. Just because I'm at a part where I feel like if I don't post for 7 days, people are going to become less interested. So it's like the consistency part of it definitely plays a role in my motivation for that. But I would say I've been blessed enough with a life that people are interested in. If you like most of my videos, I'll say blah, 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 I'm a D1 baseball player. And yes, it's repetitive, but I also think it's very necessary to just reel people in the beginning, if that makes sense. Because like I can just say, come hit with me. But like if nobody cares or knows who I am, that might be something they just scroll past. And I don't want that. So if I can have like a little extra like oomph at the beginning, that kind of like, ooh, like D1, like I want to play D1, or like I have buddies that play D1, but I wonder if that's similar to what they're doing, like just to draw connections with people, because I feel like that's very important, especially in this type of space. So something like that. Yeah. It's grown to a point where I'm just filming what I'm doing. Like I just turn the camera on and everything's normal. Like I sometimes forget the camera's there and I leave it recording too long. I'm like, shoot, I have to go film that again because I can't export it to my computer. And it's like stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's just about me filming my life. And I think if people are interested in it, they'll watch it. And I'll have a couple that do well, some that don't. It's just about, trial and error. But I think I found a pretty good recipe for like things people do enjoy. They enjoy watching it. I have fun doing it just because it's part of my life. It's who I am. And I think it's going to keep going beyond that. And I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I love that. And so going back into like a little bit more of, the tactical stuff. I've got, you might not see it on the screen, but I'm going to pull up your Instagram right now. And I mean, really, really cool stuff. Like there's some stuff that's like, again, in theory, it sounds pretty simple, right? Like you've got a camera behind you in the cages and you're just taking swings and you're like, come swing with a D1 baseball player. You have a little bit more elaborate ones like skits, like try these double celebrations, right? And that's got almost a million views, at least on Instagram. I'm sure there's some on other platforms too, but like, are there any favorites maybe you want them to break down?
Yeah, so probably some like the ground ball ones, like ground balls.
Yeah. So again, I'm just setting up my camera. I got a coach that just kind of hits me fungos, and it is kind of awkward because I do have interactions with my coaches about the content and stuff, and I get like a little uncomfortable just because like I don't know that I know they know about it, but it's like weird that they know about it, if that makes sense, because like they know me as one of their players, but then like they also see me outside of when I'm playing for them. So it's like, okay, that's a little odd, but it is what it is. Like I signed up for it, so it's a good time. But I know like a lot of it is just kind of what we do at practice, like daily drills, stuff we do to prep for fielding ground balls. Like this isn't stuff that you just do at practice. And so part of the motivation is like, I can film this video, but I'm also getting better at the same time. So it's like I set up the camera and I film these things, but like I'm not just doing it as like a show. Like I'm not just doing it to show you guys. Like I'm doing it because I also want to work on it. So I think that can kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit with certain people that are like, yeah, he like just does one rep after the camera and then just turns off the camera and go home. I'm saying, no, like I actually do the whole workout. Like I'm just like cutting it down to a 30, 40-second video just so people can see what I'm doing and hopefully they're interested in it. But yeah, I use it as not only an opportunity to get better, but also an opportunity to get content. And that's like a big part of why I film everything that I do.
So like you said a little bit about your coaches, but what do your teammates think about you having a camera around?
Great question. In the beginning, it was definitely a little like, why are you doing this? Like you look dumb. Like, why are you posting on TikTok and Instagram? But I think that's just because at the point I started, not a lot of people were doing it. And I'm still at a point where not a lot of people are doing it. So something unfamiliar was something kind of uncomfortable because they knew me and they saw what I was putting out. And so like, dude, I know this guy, like, this is funny. I can like troll him in the comments or something. I could like make fun of him in our group chats. And I'm like I've seen all ends of the spectrum. Trust me. I can take it. But, yeah, I think since I've kept doing it so consistently, they've gotten more comfortable with it. And yeah, they'll still kind of poke a little fun, like, hey, it's TikTok boy, but like, it's like, yeah, dude, I own that. Like, I do make TikToks and it's fun. Like, I think that just kind of owning it and then being passionate about it definitely has kind of eliminated that like awkwardness with people. And like this year, I've even more than ever, I've had guys who like want to be in videos, and it's like, dude, that's awesome. Like that makes my life so much easier because sometimes people can get bored of me. So like if I throw another face in there, maybe it'll be a little more interactive and fun. But yeah, I think it's been better ever since I started.
Is there the cool thing is I think you've created some formats, right? It's like the come hit with a D1 player, come field with me, you have the get ready with me. You've kind of created these formats so that they become a little bit more, at least on your side. I know how to film it, I know how to edit it. Like how has that format kind of process helped you to get a little faster? Does it help you like, get these out better versus like, oh, we got to think of a skit today. What are we going to do? I got to script something. Like It's more just like, it's kind of like your daily life. You're just throwing a camera into it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think I've gotten to a point where like I've gotten really good at turning one like part of my day, like filming one part of my day and turning it into multiple videos. I think like doing that has definitely enabled me to like not only edit it all at one time and then plan ahead. Like I don't post more than one video a day, but if I shoot myself hitting, I can get 2 videos out of that. But then I can also like film myself getting ready to go hit, like getting all my stuff on, taping my wrists, like putting whatever my batting gloves on, everything I need. Like I can film, like get ready to go hit, and then I can go film myself hitting. Like that's at least 2 videos knocked out right there. So it's like I've gotten to a point where I understand the format I want to do. I can film it super quick, like super easy, and then I can also just like export it and edit it and get it out as quick as I can. Because like there's no fancy tools. I'm gonna be honest. I film on this little camera I have because I don't want to film on my phone because I don't have enough storage. And then I export it. I just edit it straight on TikTok. Caption, boom, send it out. I can download the video from TikTok. I post the same video on Instagram and YouTube. So like diversifying platforms, but only having one video on all 3 of those platforms. But like I'm posting the same thing, but it's still me. So I think like I had gotten a really good grasp on like that format, and like being able to like replicate and produce it consistently has been a big part of the success I've had so far. And I hope I can like keep doing that because I've been growing pretty good these last month and a half, especially on Instagram, which has been sweet. Like I'm so glad to see that it's kind of taken off on me, which is amazing.
That's awesome. And obviously it's a consistency. There's so many factors in it, but I love how you just keep it simple, right? Camera, edit, TikTok. Like you're not even using like CapCut. You're not doing any like fancy filters. Like it's just, hey, come hit with me. Come feel with me. I love that.
You've been creating a lot of shorts. Have you ever thought about vlogging a game day or like something like that?
Yeah. So, yeah, I have actually. I think that is something that's kind of in the distant future just because long form videos are kind of a whole different beast. At least with the people I've talked to, like my older brothers in the social media space, I've talked to him. He said like long form video is just kind of a nightmare sometimes, just because the editing process is longer. It takes a whole day to film it, just because you're filming your entire life the entire day. So it's like you can't whip them out. You can't whip videos out as quickly, and it's like it takes a little bit more commitment. And at this point, being a student athlete, I can't just create content and play baseball all the time like I do schoolwork to do. So I still want to get the degree at some point, which would be kind of cool, even though I don't know if I'd ever want to pursue it, just because I have been growing a passion for social media and baseball. And I feel like every college baseball player aspires to play beyond college too, just because you had that same feeling in high school. So you want to keep living the life like a kid does. So stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much
in the works, but the editing sucks. And I would wholeheartedly agree.
It's not that fun. Yeah, it's not that glorious.
Any tips or strategies you can share for young athletes working to grow their social media?
Working to grow their, it is one word, and it's consistency. Like consistency is a scary word, because it is something that not a lot of people like to do. Like they want to be one hit wonders and then just kind of rely on that one thing. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like you see guys that have been creating content, who are like your favorite creators. Well, they've been doing it for a long time. Like these guys are not just guys that posted one video and automatically had 1 million followers. Like Coach Rack's been posting videos forever. Jackson also has been posting videos back since he was in college, and now he's like 25 playing for the Bananas. Even people like Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast has been posting videos since he was 10, even though I don't advise anybody to be like Mr. Beast, because he does something that nobody should ever do, which might be a hot take, but like you can look into it if you want. But like that's what I mean. Like consistent. Like it's a scary thing, but if you want to do it, like, and you're really passionate about it, that's what it's going to take. And like it's a time consuming thing. You have to sacrifice in sport. Like there are nights where I want to hang out with my friends, but I have to go into the video and do homework. Like I can't just neglect these things completely because I want to set myself up for the future. And it's like, I hope my friends will take that as like, he doesn't want to hang out with me. It's like, guys, I do, like, but I have the other things. I'm going to hang out with you like after this. It takes like 20 minutes. I can do it. It's fine. So just like time management and consistency are definitely the biggest things with something like that.
As a D1 baseball player, you receive a bunch of cool gear. What's some of the coolest things you received?
Man, I love the gloves that we get, dude. They're sweet. Like we get to fully customize a Rawlings glove for free every other year. So it's like, and the best part is like, I know it's every other year, which like doesn't sound that cool, but like you gotta understand, I take care of my glove like it's my child. Like I make sure that thing does not get squished the wrong way. Like I'm making it, like whenever we travel on planes, like that thing is just in my lap because I don't want it to get ruined. Like I'm very particular about that stuff. Some people aren't. But like, yeah, I would say gloves are definitely always my favorite. Our footwear this year we've gotten is super cool. We got turfs, molded cleats, and metal cleats. They're all like the 80s Zero style. Super sweet. Like I love them. I wear them all the time. Like whenever I'm hitting or fielding, like that is my go-to. Man, it's hard to pick a favorite. I like it all. It's free stuff. You know what I mean? Nobody complains with free things, but I would say my top one is my glove for sure.
I love that, man. You're kind of the same way.
Yeah.
I had a question all about mental skills, but I want to kind of frame it in the context of baseball and content, right? And discipline to do both, because it's interesting in the spot that you're in. The reason your content does so well is because you're actually good at baseball, right? Like if you weren't good at baseball, they work together. And so you got to practice, you got to put in the time, you got to make sure that you're not missing your hitting sessions because you got to edit a video, right? Like they play together. So talk about the discipline to do both, because you can't slack off on baseball, which I think would hurt your content, right? But you want to keep the content up, which almost helps you want to do better at baseball, because then your content's going to do they kind of really help each other. At least that's kind of how I see it.
First things first, baseball comes first. Like if I have a baseball obligation, that takes priority over anything else besides school, because obviously my coaches will want me to say that school comes first because I am a student and then an athlete. But like my personal preference, it's baseball. Like just because I don't have that hard of a time in school. Like I get by. It's great. I had no struggles in school or anything. So I'm able to prioritize baseball as much as school. So I'll just put them 50-50. I think if I have every opportunity to play baseball, I can just set up the camera. Like as long as it's not getting in the way, like obviously I'm not going to just like take time away from practice time. Like I can't be like, hey coach, wait, let me go set up my camera. Like that will never fly. Like baseball time is baseball time. You need to understand that. Like if I want to film something like during season or during like prime fall ball time, I gotta do it outside of practice. And that kind of sucks sometimes because practice can take 4 to 5 hours. And so like I'm spending that much time at the field with my teammates during like team practices and stuff. But then I'm also either staying after or coming back later that night to film a video and doing more baseball. So I feel like the baseball part of it can kind of go hand in hand as long as there's no conflicting stuff there. But like the off season is the best because like there's no required things or anything like that. Like I go and list whenever I want. I go play baseball whenever I want, just because we're not like getting ready for anything yet. At least it's not until we get back from winter break. But like I can go film whatever I want right now, and that like sets my content up really well because like I don't really conflicting like interests with my content or like just baseball. But that's definitely like baseball is definitely priority. Like it has to be.
Yeah, I agree. Has to be. All right. Just about wrapping up. One of our favorite parts of the show, kind of some rapid fire questions. Cole put all these together and they're kind of fun. So let's see what you got.
Oh, hit me.
What's your favorite pregame meal?
It's not a meal, but I like snacking on little gummy things. Like I always have like Sour Patch Kids or something with me during the game, just because I need something to like chew on. I don't know, it's like a weird thing for me, but I like it.
Do you have any pregame rituals?
No, I'm the least superstitious person you'll ever meet because I realize if I'm superstitious, I'm getting too nervous about things. So I just kind of like try to relax. I'll sip on a little energy drink, even though I don't do that yet. Just try to go with the flow. Pre-game vibes, we have a speaker going to the locker room all the time. But yeah, I'm not a superstitious person.
Who did you look up to when you were younger, both in baseball and outside of it?
Oh gosh, I would say in baseball, it would just be those players we had coming in and out of the house in the summers when I was growing up. But then I would say outside of baseball, it has to be my older brothers and my dad. Like I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and like that's a lot of dudes in a house. So like, just trying to keep up with them has been a big part of my motivation and why I try to do work so hard. But yeah, my older brothers and my dad for sure.
What's your favorite walk-up song?
Man, I like to keep like good vibes. Like people try to like do all these like cool hard rap songs. It's like, no, I just give me some like, I don't know, some pop music or something. I don't know. I don't have a specific song, but I would say like I'm thinking about using Better Days by Mae Miller, I think her name is. Great vibe. Love the song.
What's your favorite stadium you've played in so far?
Well, last season we played at Dallas Baptist and Oklahoma State. Those were like O'Brien Stadium was the nicest field I've ever played on of my life. Like they kept that thing like a minor league stadium. It was wild. I'd say like UCF definitely was up there too. That environment was crazy. So,
have you done any cool NIL deals yet? What would be your dream NIL collab for you?
Oh, my current favorite NIL. I hate picking one because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But
you can share a couple.
I would say my favorite one that I've done so far, I've worked with Plate Crate. They're awesome. Great company. I've worked with like a couple protein companies and stuff like that. Men's healthcare, stuff like that. But I'd say Plate Crate's probably up there for sure. Cause I like free stuff. So it's like, they keep sending me things like I'm going to put them in videos, and then who do I want to work with? Oh man. So like, I mean, everyone loves Bruce Bolts. I feel like working with Bruce Bolt would be really, really, really cool. I'd love to work with Adidas. Like I go to an Adidas school. Working with Adidas would be sweet. Just because I do love Adidas stuff. So that would be sweet.
Love that. I know some guys that have some sunglasses. We should hook you up.
Oh yeah, great sunglasses. Love it.
What's your favorite piece of sports memorabilia?
Oh, sports memorabilia. I don't like collect it. I have like a Ken Griffey rookie card that's worth like $7, I think. But I would say it's not like memorabilia, but it's like it means something to me. It was my first collegiate home run ball. I still have that. So that's cool just to have. Just a good reminder. But yeah, I'm not a big memorabilia guy, but I'll just say my Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card.
So why do you wear number 9?
Number 9. So there isn't like a reason. I guess when I was just getting into baseball, that was just the number I got when I was playing with a local rec team. So I wore that for a few years, and then I actually transitioned to number 11 when I was like 8 years old, and number 11 was a number that I wore every single year until I was 18, all the way through high school. So, and then when I got to college, I had number 9 again, and I was like, that's kind of cool. It kind of came back full circle. It was like number 9, I was like, I hope you didn't forget about me, but something like that. But there's not really a reason, but I do. It's probably one of my favorite numbers. 9 and 11 are both elite.
Yep, those are my 2 picks this year.
Really funny. Good. He was always number 11, and then they accidentally gave him number 9 for his jersey, and he's been 9 ever since. So, like, happy accident. Yeah. Last question for you, man. Let you go. Get back to having a good night over there. Any advice for young athletes that are looking to play baseball at a high level, but also add the content side? Because I see so many more athletes trying to do this. Just anything that you've learned that you could pass on to really help these guys be able to do both at a high level. Yeah,
baseball and content, man. It's tough. I think the main thing is you really got to love both. If you're doing something in your life you don't love, I don't think you should be doing it. That's kind of a harsh truth, but I believe that wholeheartedly. My mom tells me to do everything with love, and like if you're not doing things with love, I think that they're not worth doing. So you gotta love them, but if you do love them, just make sure that you keep yourself motivated. Just remember that God has a plan for you and everything that you're doing, and just try to stay consistent, stay focused on the right things, and everything that kind of unravel before your eyes. This kind of has been what happened this last year with me, and I'm so grateful for every opportunity I've had, and I can't wait to keep moving forward with it.
I love that. Great advice. Gotta love both. I agree, because if you're doing one to fuel the other, and it's hard anyway, right? So you might as well enjoy doing them both at the same time. Love that, man. At J Bryson Webb on with 2 B's on the Instagrams, on the TikToks, and on the YouTubes. Thanks so much for doing this, man. This was a blast.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys. It was sweet. Great conversation, of course.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Brolettes Podcast. If you guys enjoyed this, a couple things I would love for you to do today. The first is to hit that like and subscribe button. It costs you nothing, and it helps the show tremendously to reach even more people. Second, if you like what we're doing here, you'll love our newsletter. Just go to brolettes.com. The link is somewhere around here. Subscribe to the newsletter, where I'm sharing a ton of tips from these episodes, as well as everything we're learning about the Athletes Becoming Creators and Entrepreneurs movement going on right now. It's free to subscribe. Issues come out every week. And then third, if you guys like what we're dropping, make sure you check out RTA Shades, rtashades.com. Use the code podcast, save $10 on your next pair. Again, use the code podcast. Man, I know that's a lot, but smash like, smash subscribe, hit that newsletter up, get yourself some shades, and we can't wait to see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.